Let's go ahead and open up this New Year Dragon.jpg image, which is located in your Chapter 4 project files folder. One of the greatest things inside of PhotoshopCS3 to use as a reference point when you're working with digital images is your histogram panel. Now this is located up here inside of the navigation group in the paneling system, and for the time being I'm just going to click on this and I'm going to drag it out so that we can see it a little bit better here. I'm also going to click right here on this little flyout menu and I'm going to switch to expanded view. This is just going to give me a little bit broader view of the histogram itself. And what we want to do is we want to get a better understanding for exactly what the histogram is and how to read it and understand exactly what it's telling you. So the histogram is actually showing you the distribution of tones in your particular image that you have open at any given time in Photoshop. For instance, for this particular image, you'll see here that we're very low in the shadow region, yet we're very high and spiking out in the highlight regions here on the right-hand side. So what you would like to see, theoretically, is an even distribution of tones all the way across this histogram here. You don't want it to be spiking out in one area versus another, and you definitely don't want it to just fall off the grid in one particular area either. Like you see here in the shadow regions, it just kind of drops off at the end. You really don't want that. You want an even distribution all the way across. So what you need to do is base your edits or your image corrections with levels or curves or whatever method that you're using to correct images, and you need to be paying attention to this histogram and seeing exactly how you're affecting the image so that you get a better understanding of how you can evenly distribute those tones so that you have a nice evenly toned image when you're finished. Now you can also use this histogram panel to view all of the different channel histograms as well. For instance, if you wanted to see how the reds in this image are distributed, you would see here that most of the reds lie here in the highlights. So a lot of these lighter regions here have a lot of red in them and so forth. So you could check these for each individual channel, and this is another way that you can kind of control the color range of your image as well by checking to see how evenly distributed certain colors are versus another color. So what you need to do when you're working here inside of Photoshop is you need to be aware of all of these different channels, especially if you happen to have images, let's say, that have a photograph with red eye or something like that. You can see exactly what region of the image the reds are spiking out on. Or if you have a shot of a pet which has that green eye problem, you could see exactly where the different areas of green are spiking out, whether they're in the shadows or the highlights, and then you could learn how to tone portions of that image down so that maybe those problems aren't so prominent in the image. Now there's other ways, of course, to get rid of red and green eye problems and stuff like that by using the channels themselves, but if you have an understanding of exactly where those types of colors lie and how they're distributed throughout this curve here, then you'll be able to better understand your edits when you're making them later on in Photoshop. So take some time, analyze a few images here. This is just the dragon image that's located in your Chapter 4 project files folder, and what I suggest you do is just take some time to go through here, learn exactly how these little distribution curves work here and exactly how it's affected your image when you start making edits. This is going to be a little bit more evident when we start getting into how to work with levels and curves here in the next couple of lessons. So this is essentially just a basic overview of exactly what the histogram is and how you can use it to better understand the tonal distributions of your images. Now you'll notice sometimes when you're working here inside of the histogram panel that you're going to get some of these little warning signs here. And what these little warning signs indicate are portions of the image that you are clipping out. For instance, here I'm significantly clipping out the highlights here. So it's giving me a little warning over here in the highlight region telling me that I'm losing significant detail in the highlight regions. The same would be true if I darkened up this image significantly. I would be losing several bits of detail in the shadow region, so I would have a warning arrow over here that shows me that I'm losing detail in my shadows. So pay attention also to these warning signs, and they will also help to better your understanding of exactly how this digital image is put together and how you can better understand the tonal distributions.